Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you may be and however you may be watching. Thank you very much. My name's Davram, and we're going to do another Minion Masters deck tech. Now, this deck tech is more along the lines of a meme deck that's a lot of fun to play, unless you don't like clinching that butthole when it comes to your life, because you're going to take damage, but I just played 4 matches and went 4-0. So it's definitely a deck that can win. Don't know how well it's going to do once you get up into the High Masters and Grandmaster area, but it's a lot of fun to play. So let's look at it real quick here. On the low end, we have the Mana Puff. You'll see why. We've got Puff Madness. You'll see why. We've got a couple different Scrats. You'll see why. And then our powerhouses. We've got Xiao Long. If you're not familiar with how powerful Xiao Long is, get familiar, because Xiao Long is super powerful, because whenever he's out and your opponent casts a spell, he gains Rage, Frenzy, and Shield. And every time they cast a spell and he is still out, all that is refreshed. So definitely a very powerful flyer. We have the Succubus. Now you can substitute the Succubus for the Annihilator, as we've talked about in my other deck techs, if you would like to. So there's definitely a substitution here. Now, here's another substitution that you have here, and that is Shield Guard of Light. Okay, you can substitute him in for another one of the big Shield Guards or another big creature of your choice. Ultimately, you'll see in the high end what we have here. Really, the only 2 requirements in our high end is Commander Azali and Crackle. Are there only 2 big requirements on the high end? Use what other big minions you would like, whatever other big minions you would like to smash your enemy's face in with. These are just, as you can see, the ones I have, but you can definitely use Herald. You could definitely use Brothers of Light, though Brothers of Light is 10 mana. It does give you, 2 big guys, but I'm using Shield Guard. But again, your choice of what you want to use. Obviously, don't use Navir, because that just won't work out. But the idea of this deck is you basically summon a big boy right off the bat, the fastest one, or whichever one you can right off the bat. Hopefully there's one in your opening hand. While your opponent is dealing with that, you save up for another big boy. The big thing is getting Grackle out and getting 1 damage in on their tower as easy as you can, because that's going to reduce the cost of a big boy. And we're utilizing the Scrats as basically cannon fodder to keep their minions at bay, to keep ourselves alive. Again, as we talked about in our last deck tech, utilizing your health as a resource. You'll see that heavily used in my matches. Utilizing the health as a resource, utilizing the Scrats to take down what your hero can't take down quickly. Also utilizing the Mana Puffs to slow down their forces, because you can throw those Mana Puffs down. Now, what you'll notice in my game is early on the Mana Puffs are just being used as cannon fodder to slow the enemy down, but eventually with your big guys on both lanes, your Mana Puffs take hold, and then you can just continue to pump out big guys. Now, I named this deck the Rez Big Puffs, because I utilized the undead champion with Rezing, but I also have a match that we're going to take a look at that utilizes Ravager. Ravager is also another good one to utilize here, because you get another big boy in Brutus. Especially utilizing the Puffs and the Scrats. You're not oftentimes, as you'll see, going to get one of your big boys res, but on the occasion that you do, it's absolutely fine. But I think any of the heroes should be fine here. In my opinion, I think the rezes of the Tombstones and Brutus are probably the 2 biggest hero bonuses that you may have here. But by all means, play around. It's definitely a meme deck. It's probably not going to win high end, but heck, it's a lot of fun to beat your opponent in with some really big dudes. So let's take a look at a couple of the matches. Right, so in this first match, as I said, we want to get a big guy out quick, utilizing our health as a resource. So I'm going to select and utilize the big shield boy here right off the bat. Now that is a fake cleaver, and as you can see, utilizing those mana puffs, getting them out as fast as possible. I did get one of their fireballs out of their hand here. Using Zhao Long, cheap on Zhao Long there. Now I've got some mana puffs working, and as you can see, they're really working down there with some mana, giving me a little bit of a buff. Now, I'm going to use Grackle here, hoping I can get a few shots in. Unfortunately, they do have the Electro Chopper, but we're going to get through that, and we're going to get a shot in. And as you can see, I've got Commander Azali that's been reduced to 6. Now, I don't want to utilize the commander right here because the big bonus of utilizing the commander is taking over a bridge while the commander is out, gives all the minions on the battlefield a shield. So I don't want to utilize her just quite yet until I have a bridge like the top one to take over. Now you'll also notice I have Succubus in the deck tech that I went over. I did change out the 8-drop that you see down there, the brother and sister. I did swap that out just for a Succubus. Here we go. We've got a whole bunch of scrats. We've got mana puffs. We've got the Colossus, and we have a Zali that just dropped down, putting shields on everything. So the fireball is completely negated on the scrats. The shields are moving in on all my puffs, and right there you have it. Minute 41. The enemy's done, and just again, it's a Mimi deck. I told you it was a Mimi deck, and there you have it. Right, so in this match, my opponent's actually going to get me down relatively low. Again, utilizing my health as a resource in this. Now, I really like this champion, this master, because of his ability to do AoE, but as you can see, doesn't do a whole lot, and he is going to take some damage here. So again, we were lucky and we started off with our big shield boy, but we were already taking quite a bit of health, which is absolutely fine. They're going to utilize a fireball there. Anytime you can get a big spell like that out of your opponent's hand so that you can then focus your attention on keeping your big boys alive. We did a little bit of damage there. They're obviously ahead. Now, one reason why I switched out the brother and sister, as we talked about during the last match, is because of flyers. You can see they have flyers here, and I don't have a lot of defense against them, but with Succubus, I will. So we put Colossus down here, and I made that decision because I wanted them to have to put focus on that and not my my particular area. Now, Zhao Long was a great move in the top against their swordswoman. However, they also now have a couple jet planes. We can see we're already at half health, so obviously folks who don't like to play decks where they have to clench their butt all the time, this might not be the deck for you, but as I said, it's Mimi and it's a lot of fun. So there's our Crackle down. As we saw in the last game, Crackle was huge for this because it reduced the mana cost of another big boy. It actually reduces the cost of the brother and sister, which we don't actually utilize. We're down to 405 health, but as you can see, this is a race, and now they have nothing on the battlefield on our side, and they are dead at a minute 43. All right, so here we go with Ravager. So I'm going to open up here with, now we don't have a big boy, and I always said play your big boy first, but we don't. So Zhao Long is our next best big boy here. And they put a whole bunch of ground units into play with Puff Madness. It is the best to use Zhao Long. Now they've got the counter to Zhao with the Rifleman, but we're loading up our hand down here with the big boys. We just have to be patient. We have to take some damage, and we just have to be patient about it. Now, anything with ranged is definitely a counter to Ravager because he can definitely chew through things quickly if they're in range. And, well, these riflemen are not. Now, we get our Shield of Light out here, and that's great because he's going to help wipe up the battlefield on this side. Our Succubus backup support is going to take care of that dragon, so he survives longer. As you can see, we took quite a bit of damage there. Our puffs don't survive, and we lose both bridges, but don't fret. Don't fret. We're still well within what we need to do here. We do lose our Succubus there. However, again, utilizing the Scrats as damage control. They're great against the Cleaver because he can only take one out at a time. Drop in your Zhao Long, allow that to finish them off. Now, the Scrats here are going to, again, take the brunt of the attack here until Ravager gets where he needs to do. get Brutus up in there and get him swiping and the swinging. We've got Zhao Long as our backup here, and now we're going to start being able to put some of our big boys down. Now, that was a misplay on my part. Azali should not have been played there, as we did have control of both bridges. A better option there would have been Grackle in the bottom or the Colossus in the bottom, but that was definitely a misplay on my side. We probably could have ended this a little quicker had she been able to actually drop in and give shields and not just drop in and basically just be a waste of mana, because she does kill a couple things, but in general doesn't kill a whole lot. So we've got the big Colossus going at the bottom. Now would have been an awesome time for Azali, but well, we don't have Azali. Ravager did a little bit of work, not too much work, but it's actually the big Brutus at the end that we're kind of going for. We're not actually going to make it to him. The game's going to be over before that. We've got some Scrats in. Now we're going to have Grackle in. We've got a Succubus in there, and the Colossus is now moving in. So now the opponent's really having to utilize their resource in order to slow this onslaught down, and they can't. And now we have another Colossus coming in. They used a spell, so Zhao Long is going crazy with all of his abilities. And there you go, 2 minutes and 38 seconds. If you care to have the other champion, there's Ravager and how to play it with that. So let's just debrief on the deck. All right, guys, so there you go. The big resin puffs. That name needs a lot of work. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great deck just to mess around with and play. And it's also a deck most folks have, the Scrats. They might have the Mana Puff. Some of the other spells you may not have. But again, on the big end, use any of the big high damage minions. You could use a Cleaver in here instead of the Grackle. The Grackle's big thing, again, is because he reduces the mana cost when he hits. So that's why he's nice in there. But if you don't have him, you can use a Cleaver. You can throw the Rammer in there. But again, you want some big high hit points dudes in there. I would definitely avoid utilizing Navir because again, the charge up that requires with Navir, and also with this one right here, I would also avoid him because it requires you to have so many spells in your deck, and as you can see, we run one. So definitely not utilizing him. But any of the other big boys you can use, Brothers of Light. I'm trying to remember what the other big boy's name is. You could use any of the golems. Troubadour would fit in there. Caliph would be great in there. The Recatron 9000 from the new set would be fine in there. Again, our mana pool is quite high. I keep clicking around. I wanted to click up here. Our mana pool, is quite high at a 5. But as you can see, as long as you're okay with the clenching of the buttocks, you should be absolutely fine in this. The other card that you may utilize again to work off those puffs, if you have things pushed on that side, you could use the bounty sniper to give you more XP. But at the end of the day, I think really you've got a really nice cannon fodder here at the bottom and some really nice Mimi high end that's really just going to wreck your opponent. The season just started, so obviously I'm climbing through the silver ranks right now with this. I haven't lost a match yet with it, but again, once you get in the high end, I doubt that this particular deck is going to be viable. My next video later this week will probably have a deck that's a little bit more viable as far as on the high-end Master and Grandmaster. So stay tuned for that. If you like this video, guys, hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, please do consider subscribing and turning on notifications. It would really, really help me out. And thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment if you have any decks that you would like me to review and play on an upcoming video. Please let me know. You can also tweet me at DavramTV on Twitter. But aside from that, guys, thank you very much. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time in the arena.